Yep, you're the real deal, alright. Thank Idas, I was worried as hell about you, you know? I could say the same to you. Still, it looks like those really must have been grimoires then. Sure does. Grimoires? Is this the name of those fiends we've encountered? You got it, the type of fiend mentioned in the testaments, although maybe fiend isn't the best word. They're said to be what souls eventually turn into after being thrown to Gehenna. People saw and turned into those? That's not a very pleasant thought. As I'm sure you know, the church teaches that the souls of sinners end up in the fiery death of Gehenna. There they are tormented by the ceaseless flames, slowly losing their own sense of self over time. Till finally they're said to end up as nothing more than a chaotic lump of spirit known as Grimoire. I'm getting goosebumps just picturing it. And that's what those shape-shifting creatures we encountered were? Yes. The mirrors and cannons that appear with them are all cursed items that have been the same origin. How they did it, I don't know. It seems our enemies have quite literally opened the gates of Gehenna. That was quite a fitting metaphor. That sounds like... You again. Well, look who decided to show their ugly mug. Did a lot of you send you to come check up on us? That is one of the roles I have been assigned, albeit not the only one. I am impressed by how quickly you've progressed, even if it was with a significant amount of the Hermit's guidance. The Hermit? Who's that? The ghost we keep running into? I can't think of anyone else. She's been helping us in various ways since we arrived here, and yet we still have no idea who she is. Indeed, I speak of her. She is a spirit that was left behind in Phantasma, as well as the master of the Hollow Garden. Huh. Of course, thanks to my lord taking most of her powers, you can do little other than struggle as your guide. As usual, your cryptic nonsense just goes right over my head. But hey, if she's your enemy, that makes her our ally, right? I'll leave that for you to find out. Her position is hardly your concern at this time. I have a message for you from my lord. Your next destination is the Path of the Beasts. Devour the new offering presented to you and display your seal once more. Then shall the flames of Gehenna burn ever fiercer and my kingdom draw closer to its true completion. What? What is that supposed to mean? My lord says that you may choose to interpret the message however you see fit. My task was simply to relay it to you. Kevin? Sorry, couldn't help but laugh. Tell me, what set classes did you and that joke of a boss you got take to get your satisfaction on how to be a big bad? Nice touch trying to confuse us by spewing that cryptic bullshit too. Bet you thought we'd keep ourselves up all night trying to figure that gem out. I mean, the overblown theatrics make it a bit too obvious that it's fake, don't you think? Wait, well, you about done with us? If you are, how about you get lost? We've got better things to do with our time than listen to nonsensical riddles from a guy who can't even bother to show his face. I see you're quite fond of the gift granted to you by my lord. Does it bring back memories? Gift? Kevin? You think you can get away? Fear not, we will encounter one another again before long. I am, after all, Phantasma's foremost guardian. With that, I bid you farewell. So that's the Schwarzritter you mentioned. He's the picture of his lord right down to taunting us as he leaves. Too bad for him that it doesn't take a year's work out there both bluffing. Your next destination is the Path of Beasts. Devour the new offering presented to you and display your seal once more. Then shall the flames of Gehenna burn ever fiercer and my kingdom draw closer to its true completion. This word sounds as though they have some specific meaning to me, but they could be taken a number of ways at face value. We could try to unravel that meaning, but that may hinder our progress more than help in the long run. My thoughts exactly. Anyway, what's definitely not going to hinder us is going back to base and seeing out who's and two ceilings we picked up. If we activate that monument over there, we'll be able to come right back here to continue exploring later too. Thank goodness it's right there, huh? I wonder who's going to be inside these. Golden Road, Silver Road. Kevin Graham of the class of trainees. In the name of the goddess above, I hereby appoint you as squire of the Septian Church. I humbly accept my appointment. I pledge to offer my soul to the goddess above and both body and blood to her church on earth. Very good. It is exceedingly rare for one at your age to be appointed to this position. I can only assume your aptitudes and training achievements warranted it. May you strive to be a worthy guardian of the goddess sacraments as a loyal and devoted servant. Well, if it isn't Kevin, I see you managed to avoid having your promotion rejected by the top brass. Splendid, splendid. Instructor, I really can't thank you enough for all you've done for me. I never dreamed I would have an actual Dominion supervising my training. How sweet of you to say. Hard to believe you're the same boy who waltzed up before the congregation for the sacraments, shouting, "Make me a knight, please!" I appreciate it if you chucked that memory back into the further reach of your mind. Thank you. Oh, but how could I? Had I missed your groveling, I never would have taken an interest in you in the first place. And not in a million years would I have thought you were related to Rufina. You could have asked her to take you on as a pupil before resorting to such drastic measures, you silly boy. Well, I have my reasons. Let's leave it at that. Very well, it doesn't matter at this point anyway. Congratulations, you're now a dog of the church, just like the rest of us. It's good to have you on board. Thank you. I'm not sure that's the most reassuring metaphor to be using new recruits, though. You might scare some of them right off. Please, you're not trying to position yourself as some sweet doe-eyed thing, are you? Besides, I think it's perfectly apt description for us. We go around sniffing out sacraments wherever they may be, tearing through the throats of the heretic fools who are enamored with them all the while. Can you spot the difference? Come on, instructor, I'm used to you at this point, so I don't really care if you call me a dog. But you care if I call you beloved Rufina one, don't you? Not to worry, Kevin, I can read between the lines well enough. Well, did I guess right? I owe her a lot, but I wouldn't call her my beloved. She's just like a big sister to me, that's all. You're making it sound like Like you what, exactly? Rufina! I thought you were on the Remiferia on a mission. I was, but I tried to finish as quickly as possible so I could be back for your appointment ceremony. I'm so proud of you, Kevin. It's amazing just how fast you've grown. Now you're a full-fledged adult like me. Wow, thanks for going out of your way to come here. I'm not sure I deserve to be called an adult yet, though. I've got a whole lot of work ahead of me if I want to be half the knight the two of you are. Oh my, how modest of you. By the way, have you let Rios know about all of this yet? Not yet, I'm planning to write to her tonight. She's been real mad at me ever since I decided to come to Eteria, though. Hopefully, this'll cheer her up a bit. There's not much else I can do to make up with her short of going home. Perhaps we should do that together at some point if you can find the time. Oh, and while I have the chance, thank you so much for looking after them all this time, Ein. You give up so much of your free time, I really do appreciate it. Think nothing of it. It proved quite a fun way to kill time. He has a fair amount of potentials in combat arts and thaumaturgy too. It's a shame all his skills are on the practical side of things, however. His academic side is less than stellar. I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that may be the case. Alright, I've gotta get going. I have to pick up my new room key and medal from the general affairs guys. Sorry, I'll talk to you later. No? What's this? You look so concerned. Feeling guilty because he followed you into such a dangerous line of work? Not at all. That was completely up to him and him alone. I would never try to dictate his life choices. It's just that... I think he'll make a fine knight, personally. He checks all the boxes. He's got the potential, he's got the determination. All in all, I can see why you're so proud of him. And call it a hunch, but I wouldn't be surprised if a stigma manifested in him just like it has in you. Well, I'm impressed. I didn't think you could sense it of others if you didn't possess one yourself. Yet one more reason to feel frustrated that you aren't a Dominion. I know we're friends, but there's no need for all that flattery. My combat and thaumaturgy abilities are average at best. I wouldn't be cut out for the job at all. I'm grateful enough to have been promoted from squire to knight. That's the upper limit for someone with my lack of potential. If only you saw things the way I do. Someone with average at best abilities couldn't have handled your Ouroboros case half as well as you did. Fighting off a man that had reported strength to a swift enough conclusion would be a pretty feather in anyone's cap. It was just my luck that we both came to an understanding. As far as Kevin goes, he wouldn't need to rely on luck. His potential for growth extends further than I'll ever be able to go. But he has one weakness holding him back. That poor boy is just far too kind. So kind, in fact, that I can see him driving himself into a corner because of it one day. The Dark Stigma. Und wer kommt raus? That looks like... Yeah. Then? Prince Olivier? Now this is a surprise. Don't think this is a dream at least. Indeed, it is not. I hope you would try to share a sweet date with Share in my dreams, one with a fine drinking companion not so much. Yeah, this is really right. Still, doesn't Shadow count as a drinking companion too? In a way, it's fine to be drunk with the joy of a company, but it's very much the opposite to be drunk with alcohol involved. That's one of the most important lessons I learned during my Stanley Bell. Huh, truer words have never been spoken. But alright, enough playing around. You guys mind filling us in on just what kind of situation we've gotten ourselves into? We shall make of the embraces and tearful greetings afterwards. Honestly. You two really are something special. You'd think you'd be a little shaken finding yourself in somewhere as unnatural as this out of nowhere. This is quite a pickle. I appreciate that it may be hard to believe, but that is the situation we find ourselves in at this present time. If we are to try and find a way out, we'll need you to accept that. Oh, ich will mal Müller sagen, aber es heißt eigentlich Müller. Mjokta, das klingt nicht gut. My sweet rose-kissed muse, ever pure and free of thorns, you misunderstand me. I have long accepted our current predicament as reality. Then why do you look so deep in thought? Need you even ask? Perhaps my life's toughest decision lies ahead of me. Before me I find Joshua, Princess Claudia, Tita and Josette, then there's truly even a new face, Rias. Just whom shall I gather into my arms like a warm blanket and exchange sweet nothings in celebration first? Joshua. Only you. Joshua, you were pulling my leg when you said this guy was an Albanian prince, right? Hard as it is to believe he is. Putting my deeply earnest dilemma aside for the time being, it sounds as though you've been making some headway in unraveling the mysteries behind this place. Naturally, I would be more than honored to help with that. But first, you've got a few questions you need to ask, right? I know I sure do. I should have known you would be thinking along the same lines. You're exactly right. Fine by me. What do you want to ask? Do you think you figured something out? That's what I want to find out. First, I want to ask about that ghost you've encountered in here. Ask away. If I remember correctly, the first time you met her was on the balcony at Gransel Castle, yes? Indeed it was. She gave the key that allowed us to eventually find her and rescue you. It was the first time she appeared to us as a ghost, but I don't believe it was the first time she directly communicated with you, was it, Father? Don't think so anyway. When Rias and I first arrived here, we heard a strange voice talking to us. We didn't have a clue who it belonged to at the time. But I think it was probably her too. As do I. So at first she existed here only as a voice, but she's gradually started showing up with her body too. I know it's a weird way to put it, but if it's true, that backs up what the man in black said last time we saw him. Yeah, he said the Lord of Phantasm had stolen most of her powers, right? He kept referring to her as the Hermit and Master of the Hollow Garden too. Plus the inscription on the monument behind us has the Hermit's Garden written on it. I think all of us here came to connect the dots just fine. Agreed. It's reasonable to conclude that this very garden is connected to her in some way. That's true. Makes sense to me. It also explains why this place is kinda comfy compared to other weird fiend-infested places in Phantasma. Feels like we're getting closer to the truth of every new revelation. By the sounds of it, she's been in Phantasma for a while now, possibly since the beginning. But then she had her power stolen by the Lord of Phantasma and ended up without a body. Since then, she's been trying to help us to the best of her abilities and guide us forward. If we assume all of that to be true, maybe the monuments scattered throughout are connected to her somehow too. They seem to exist for the same purpose, guiding us forward. I think there's one more thing in our possession that's connected to her as well. That cube, Kevin. You think so? Unfortunately, your guess is as good as mine on exactly what that cube is. That being said, I think the odds of it being connected to her somehow are as high as everything else on the list so far. Well, what do you think? Honestly, I'm impressed. You've done a remarkable job of making sense of the situation when you've only just arrived. Still, if we assume all that to be true, then there's not something else we should be doing as we keep moving forward. Helping to restore her power, I assume? That way we should be able to ask her what else she knows about the land we're in. Got it on one. I get this impression that if we don't, we won't stand a chance against those two. We'll find ourselves up against a wall at some point. You may be right. Well, leaving her aside for the time being, I do have one final thing I'd like to ask. What else there to cover? In concerns with Lord Phantasma you kept mentioning, actually. Put simply, you wouldn't happen to have any idea as to who they are, would you, Kevin? Why me? Well, from my perspective, they're awfully fixated on you. They seem to know about Ria's deceased sister as well. Then there's the fact they're even able to summon devils from the church's texts. It all seems to be pointing at you two, and you in particular. I can see why you ask, I guess. Unfortunately for you, though, I got nothing. If anything, I'd say the same to be an enemy of the grassroots as a whole rather than just me. I suppose it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if an organization like that had more than their fair share of enemies. No offense, of course, I have plenty of enemies myself. Try not to sound like it's something worth boasting about. Anyway, even if we connected some dots, we have to save the mystery behind who our enemies are for another day. Maybe we can get more information out of them the next time we see them, but until then we don't have enough to work with. Right. Next time one of them shows up, we'll have to see what we can force out of them. So, that about wraps things up for now. If so, we should probably get ready to head out again. We're on plane number 4, and if the previous planes are anything to go by, it's gonna be tough. Kevin? What's up? Did you have something else you wanted to add? No? It's just that I'm not feeling very well, so I'm going to sit the next plane out. What? I'm sorry for the trouble, but please look out for him on my behalf. He shouldn't cause you too much trouble, but as I'm sure you know, he can be a little careless at times. He is? Wait a sec. Are you not gonna go after her? Sorry, I'll be back in a minute. Where he is? Wait a sec. What's with you all of a sudden? Oh, I know. Are you feeling left out because I'm the only one you know here and everyone else is buddy-buddy? Sorry, Rias. Probably wasn't fun to have to sit through the whole happy reunion here, blah blah blah. I should have noticed earlier. I really have been pretty insensitive, so I'm really sorry, okay? When are you going to stop acting? Huh? It's true that I felt a little left out for a while. You've clearly gone through so much together, and it's made you that much more fun of each other than the days since. Yeah, we had some amazing times, had to come out the other end of stuff we did without growing closer through it all. Watching you all, how could I have not felt lonely? How could I not have felt jealous? You've been avoiding me for the past 5 years, Kevin. The thought that you'd grown close to so many others by going out of your way to keep me out of arm's reach did make me sad. You know, I didn't mean it like that, Rias. But at the same time, I was still happy you did. I knew how badly what happened to Rufina had hurt you, how you were still blaming yourself for it. I knew how you were driving yourself into a corner over it, and how you were taking on nothing but dirty jobs if you were trying to punish yourself. And I couldn't confirm it for myself for sure, but I just knew the rumors that you were desperate to burn yourself out through them were true. So that's the reason. That's why, as lonely as I felt when you were off making new friends without me, I was really happy more than anything. Rias, you do know that, except it turns out you haven't made any new friends at all. You're pulling the same exact thing you pulled with me on them. Every single one at arm's length. They can't get close to you. You won't get close to them. On the surface, you're a cheerful person having fun with everyone, but on the inside, you're as cold as can be. All you're doing is manipulating your own emotions so people think you're someone you're not. After watching you ever since we are reunited, that's become plain as day to me. Man, I'm happy you're worried about me, but you've totally got the wrong idea of this one. Sorry, I'm good at a lot of things, but pretending to be someone I'm not isn't one of them. When I'm happy, you'll know about it, and when I'm mad, well, I think you know I'm not so good at hiding it either. I'm the same transparent guy as I always was. Oh, I didn't say you weren't easy to read for me at least. After all, I know how genuinely shaken you were by the Lord of Phantasma's message. The words of the Schwarzritter always come across as cryptic, but not to you. Deep down you know what they're talking about. You just constantly keep it from the rest of us and try to keep us in the dark. No, maybe you've even managed to pull the wool over your own eyes too. Huh, come on now, you can't seriously. Devour the new offspring presented to you and display your seal once more. You know exactly what that means, don't you? Go on. You know what, maybe you should sit things out for a bit, you're clearly really tired. What? I get that you're as angry as you are upset with me, but I think it's starting to make you jump to some really out-of-there conclusions. And being tired out is only going to make it worse. Can't you see how negative your line of thinking is? You can't seriously believe all this is actually true. I'm not saying I don't deserve all the anger. I totally do. I genuinely was busy at the same time. I wasn't sure how to face you if we did end up meeting either. Still, we're gonna be working together from now on, so... enough. Everything you're saying is just meaningless. Maybe the others don't realize that, but how dare you think I, of all people, would fall for it? I realize I'm turning my back on my duties as a squire by doing this, but I can't bear to be near you any longer. I can't stand to see the Kevin I thought I knew so empty. So? Kevin? Oh, hey. I'm sorry you had to see that. Don't worry about it. I want to know something, Joshua. You've looked into me a fair bit since I first stepped onto the scene, right? I have. I know that you're called the Heretic Hunter. I know that you're one of the 12 dominions that lead the Grass Ritter. And I know you undertake the executions of sinners the Church deems most unforgivable almost single-handedly. I figured you'd know your stuff. Wouldn't want any guy whose backgrounds you hadn't thoroughly vetted being close to your girlfriend for long, huh? I can't deny it. Still, the only people you harm are those sinners, never anyone else. So I decided that, for the time being at least, you weren't a threat to her or anyone else. I see. Wiseman was your work too, wasn't it? Sure was. My job was to get rid of him, that's it. Everything I did with you guys leading up to that point was to get myself into a position to get it done without him catching on. That includes helping all of you out, naturally. Yeah, I know. You must have been aware of the possibility that Estelle would be taken on board the Glorious too. You thought allowing it to happen would help you in the long run, so you kept quiet about it. Wow, now that one I'm surprised you pieced together. But yep, you're probably right. I figured there was a chance she might get abducted, but I did exactly nothing to stop it. All I cared about was finding out what Wiseman and you were up to, and where you were, for that matter. Couldn't use better bait for that than her. I thought so. And that all of that doesn't change how I'm more grateful than words can express. Why's that? Because if you hadn't helped me back then, I would still be Wiseman's puppet. I would have broken with my own hands what I've valued most in the whole world. That's a debt I'll never be able to fully repay. Oh, sweet ideas, now you're just being cute. I know you're smart enough to realize that that's not at all why I threw you a bone, right? I just wanted him off his guard enough to create the opening I needed. Helping you was the perfect way to do that. That was all there was to it. And again, that doesn't change how grateful I am to you. Knowing why you did that, what you did doesn't erase the gratitude I feel, not in the slightest. It really is just as well you ended up quitting Ouroboros. You'd suck to the high heaven if you were an enforcer now. Honestly, you're totally right. If Rhea is sitting on the sidelines for now, let me help you in her place. I might not be as capable of helping you as she is, but I should be able to back you up. You don't need to feel indebted to me, you know. Well, I'll take what I can get. No doubt you're worried sick about Estelle too. So there's your gold star reason for helping out besides me. So thanks, I'm glad you've got my back. Right back at you. Ja. Wir nehmen Chloe mit. Weil sie die besseren Heildinger hat. Na gut. Dann würde ich sagen, war's das für heute mit Let's Play The Legend of Heroes Trace in the Sky 3rd. Und wir sehen uns dann das nächste Mal. Bis dann, Leute. Ciao.